Hello guys, when back in 2022 Putin tried to whitewash his full-scale invasion of Ukraine as the only way to protect Russia from potential attacks of the Ukrainian army or a NATO army, Sochi was a totally safe region, the most popular Russian resort, and the busiest airport was located there too. Sochi is home to Putin's favorite residence, and it was totally safe and sound to spend summers there. Now, after 3.5 years of the failed blitzkrieg, Sochi is a war zone, just like dozens of other Russian regions. Tonight, Ukrainian drones have targeted another big oil refinery in Sochi, the one that belongs to Rosneft, and that resulted in 20 explosions, serious fire, and lots of frightened tourists in the bomb shelters. Ukrainians only target legitimate facilities like oil refineries or military air bases, but I'm sure you understand this atmosphere is not very inspiring for the relaxation. And all because they wanted war and they got war. War always returns back home. And same as our strategy to target oil refineries. It seems like we were banned from doing this for some time. That was very unjust. And I'm happy that this effective strategy is now back to the implementation of the only working peace plan to defeat and demilitarize Russia. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the collapse of the Kremlin, subscribe, I'm sure we will discuss that on the channel sometime really soon. So first, as this is another of our favorite Russian geography lessons, let me introduce you a bit to Sochi. Sochi is often described as the southern summer capital of Russia. It is located on the shores of the Black Sea. It was home to one of the Winter Olympics, after which Putin decided to invade Ukraine for the first time in 2014. And it is also a territory known for its beautiful nature, for its economic potential. Local ports are important too, and oil refineries, because huge oil refineries are often located next to ports. That's the way to bring that oil products, fuel to where it is needed. It's pretty obvious that being not that far away from Ukraine, not that far away from the front lines, the Russian army actively uses oil refineries in Sochi to fuel the military machine in Russia or in Ukraine. Because yes, now there are front lines not only in Ukraine, but also in Russia. The targeted oil refinery belonged to Rosneft, and a couple of days ago, we have neutralized another one in Sochi area. That one belonged to Lukoil. By the way, failed blitzkrieg resulted in, very exhausted Russian economy, and lots of companies that were flagships of the Kremlin, of the Russian Federation in general, are now experiencing serious troubles. And I'm sure even if you're not interested in the Russian business, you've heard about Lukoil, you've heard about Gazprom. They were the richest, they were the symbols of this unnatural Russian wealth built on the exploitation of resources. And now even such companies are on the brink of the bankruptcy. So explosions were huge. There are tons of videos. Russians react in an unpredictable way. They laugh. Well, they feel safe because Ukrainians target military facilities, oil refineries, and ordinary tourists or Russians aren't there, but still that's kind of unexpected. And this demonstrates some irrationality or inadequacy to a great extent. What is interesting, in Adler, they also have, Adler is the district of Sochi. It is one of the busiest airports there. Once again, because Sochi was the main Russian tourist destination. And it could serve 13 million passengers per year. And it's pretty obvious that this year the number will be way lower. Subscribe to witness the collapse of the Russian Federation together, and please share these videos. That is the easiest way to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and to spread the truth, because unfortunately Russian narrative still dominates a lot of global media. So this is already an epidemic among Russian airports. They are closed. Hundreds and thousands of flights are cancelled. Lots of companies don't want to cooperate anymore, like the ones, Turkish Airlines. And we may say that tourism in general is in a serious disaster inside Russia, both for people traveling within the Federation and for those risky foreigners who wanted to visit the collapsing empire before it collapses. But I'm sure this will also happen really quickly. So the airport stopped working. Thousands, dozens of thousands Russian were stuck in that airport or hiding in the bomb shelters, because explosions always inspire you to go that way. And I believe that only the most irresponsible people continue flying Russian airlines, because they also have a tremendous problem with civilian aviation. Sanctions have cumulative effect, and Russians cannot maintain their aircraft, and they started cannibalizing old ones, but there is always a limit, and some serious air crashes have already started. So by blocking Russian airports with Ukrainian drones work, we actually save a lot of Russian lives. That comes as a consequence, pretty unexpected. What is interesting, they keep describing that these oil refineries are exploding because of the debris, and I love comments here inside Ukraine. People say, yes, of course, when a drone meets a huge tank inside the oil refinery, it becomes debris. But, it's difficult to hide 20 explosions and fire that in some cases, as yesterday, for example, in Samara, reached 100 meters above. So satellite images, videos of media illiterate Russians and tourists demonstrate that all very clearly. But perhaps the greatest signal of serious troubles inside Sochi is the fact that one's favorite Putin's residence is not operating anymore. He loved it. He used it for a lot of meetings. He would spend summers there with his lovers, with Alina Kabayeva and children. And oh my God, this is another proof that he's just insane. You know nothing about his life. And I don't mean people have to share a lot, but people inside Russia at least have to know who is his wife, how many children does he have. Can you imagine your president hiding everything? Okay, they have secrets, they have bad secrets. Let me know in the comments below, what was the worst secret you've learned about your politicians? It's interesting to know about different countries, not only the United States, because I'm sorry guys, I know Donald Trump has a lot of secrets and skeletons. But anyway, in Sochi, Putin would spend a lot of summers, and I guess since the last year, as our strategy and drone fare became stronger and better, he stopped visiting it. I think he spends the majority of his time in bunkers, but he decided even to destroy part of that residence. I guess he doesn't plan to return back to Sochi, and I hope that soon he will stop visiting Kremlin and he won't plan to return there either. Because if there is one place on earth where Putin belongs, apart from above the earth, that is definitely The Hague. And I believe that justice court is super important for the health and security of the international law. Thank you so much for all the support and understanding that we feel here in Ukraine. I am very grateful that we have our community, and also follow me on Instagram, X, Reds, Blue Sky and Discord. The links in the description of this video. Same as the link to our merch shop with lots of good t-shirts, sweatshirts, caps, cups, stickers that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine and are simply beautiful, and we are always grateful when you work as the ambassadors of Ukraine, and with t-shirts it's way easier and very nice. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my sponsors and patrons of the channel, and helping me film more. Now there are 2 channels. I hope you follow Anna Danilchuk too. And thank you so much for being friends, for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!